Hello everybody, this is Marcel, and I'm coming to you with episode 1 of That's How I See It. This one's about Bill Cosby, and what we're going to do is we're going to talk about Bill in his early years. We're going to talk about how he became the great Bill Cosby, and then we're going to go into the troubled times that he's had as of late. Bill was born in 1937, one of 4 sons born to Anna Pearl and William Cosby Sr. His father was a cook in the Navy and fought in World War II. Bill's public school when he was a boy was Mary Channing Wister. He described himself as a class clown and was captain of the baseball and track team. When he was in junior high, he discovered that he loved to act and that he was a self-proclaimed class clown. He had to have jobs. He worked before school and after school to help out the family, sold produce, shined shoes, and stocked shelves at a local supermarket. Bill failed the 10th grade but didn't have to repeat because he knew somebody, or his father did, who worked at a shoe repair shop, and he became an apprentice there. Bill went into the Navy once he left high school. He worked as a hospital corpsman while there during the Korean War. He went to Temple University on a track scholarship and played football and was fullback on the team. He attended bar to earn money and to hone his comedy skills. He left Temple to pursue comedy. He made The Tonight Show in 1963, was his debut at age 26. He released a comedy album in 1964. Bill Cosby is a Very Funny Fellow, right? Was the title of the comedy album, and that's what they did in the past. They had albums. And let's see, Bill Cosby also in 1965 was cast in I Spy and became the first black co-star in a dramatic TV series. That same year, 4 stations declined to air the show, and they were set in different states, the South surprisingly, Georgia, Florida, and Alabama. He also tried to sing. The album was called Silver Throat, Bill Cosby Sings in 1967. 1969, he was on another show called The Bill Cosby Show, which was a situational comedy that ran for 2 years. 1971, Bill decided to return back to school to begin work on his master's degree at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. During that time, he worked for the PBS series The Electric Company. I didn't know he worked for the Electric Company. That was kind of interesting to find out during the research I did for Mr. Cosby. He graduated in 1972 with his MA. Next came the Fat Albert Show and the Cosby Kids, which was based on his childhood friends. The show ran from 1972 to 1979. Then the show became the New Fat Albert Show in 1979, and then the New Adventures of Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids in 1984. Bill was a true superstar at this point. Fat Albert was used by some school teachers to teach kids the values of friendship and how to do the right thing. So Bill wrote a dissertation on it, trying to get a PhD. It was called An Integration of the Visual Media via Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids into the elementary school curriculum as a teaching aid and vehicle to achieve increased learning. An interesting note, in 1976, he would get a BA in education from both Temple and the University of Massachusetts Amherst. He never finished, but he got his BA based on life experience. In the 1980s, Bill Cosby became a true star and got worldwide fame with The Cosby Show. Now, we're not going to talk about The Cosby Show. We're not going to go into all that because most of you guys know about Cosby when he did The Cosby Show. I mean, everybody knows that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go into the troubled times. The troubled times for Bill seemed to start in 1997. He went to court and testified that he made payments, the first of many, to a lady named Shawn Upshaw, a woman he had an affair with in the 70s. The payments were over $100,000 because he wanted to keep the affair secret. It was during that time that Upshaw's daughter was trying to blackmail him for $40 million by claiming that she was the daughter that he never acknowledged and threatened to reveal his affair along with her mother. And this seemed to be the start of the fall of Mr. Bill Cosby. A few years later, starting in 2000, the man we all thought of as our dad, as our grandfather, is now being accused of things that nobody wants to be accused of. March 2000 is when it all started. March 2nd, a woman named Lachelle Covington started the ball rolling when she said that when she was 20, he assaulted her at a dinner at his New York home. He took her hand and put it under his shirt and made her go down south. He also grabbed her breasts and tried to put his hand down her pants, and he also exposed himself. Then we go to January 13th, 2005. Andrea Costin said she went to his home and he gave her some herbal pills, laid her down on a sofa, and sexually assaulted her. Then we have Sean Upshaw, who we mentioned before, February 10th, 2005, who said in 1997, Cosby testified to pay her $100,000, as I've already said. But she also said at this point that he drugged her sometime in the 70s. Now, I'm going to stop there and say this. Some of these women I don't believe. I mean, quite honestly, let me just be real. I don't believe some of them. Now, does that mean I don't believe all of them? No, but I'll give my opinion on it at the very end. Then in June 23rd of 2005, Tamara Green said, another one, that sometime in the 70s, drugged her by offering her cold medicine. And then same day, June Ferrier said that she had a consensual affair with Mr. Cosby, drugged her after a performance in Denver. This was in the mid-'80s. And gave her coffee. She said she felt woozy, and she woke up and her clothes were a mess, hair was undone, and she was in her car thinking, where am I and what's going on? June 9th, 2006, Barbara Bowen said that he drugged her and assaulted her on 2 separate occasions in New York and in Reno. She said she went to a lawyer to advise her on what to do, and the lawyer laughed at her. And this is Bill Cosby, so I still don't understand why he laughed at her, but it is what it is. November 16th, Joanne Tarshis, a music industry publicist, claimed that he assaulted her 2 times when she was 29. She was an actress working at Universal Studios with him. One day he gave her some alcohol and she fell unconscious in his bungalow. Next thing she remembers is she was on his couch being undressed, and she told him that she had an STD, which was smart, and would catch it and his wife would find out. According to her, he just found another quote-unquote orifice to use. November 17th, 2014, Joey Linda Treyes, I believe that's how you say your name, says that more than 40 years ago he offered her pills and would not take no for an answer. This happened when she went for a ride with him when went to the beach. She says he lunged at her, grabbing her chest and jumping out of the car, tearing her skirt, and took her to the store and bought her a new dress and then took her home. I mean, it just goes on and on like this. November 18th, 2014, Janice Dixon, former supermodel, said he assaulted her in a meeting for a possible role on The Cosby Show in 1982, gave her wine and a pill, and she woke up the next day with no clothes on, remembering that she passed out, and she thinks that she was sexually assaulted by him. November 20th, 2014, Therese met him in 1976 where he was performing. She was spotted in the audience by him or his people, escorted back to the green room where he gave her 2 white pills and she was out. Next memory she has was him having sex with her over a bathroom sink. November 20th, 2014, Lou Ferrigno's wife, Lou Ferrigno, formerly TV's Incredible Hulk, said in 1967, he invited her to his home and attempted to force himself onto her, grabbed her, tried to kiss her, really rough. According to her, she pushed him off and left. She was a teenager at the time. November 20th, 2014, same day, Luisa Mortiz claims that in 1971 forced her to perform oral sex on him in the green room of The Tonight Show. And after it's over, she says he turned around and said to her, "Now you don't want to upset me in the plans for your future, do you?" And let me stop there. I honestly don't want to believe that one. I mean, it takes a lot of nerves and testicular fortitude to rape someone in the green room on The Tonight Show with all those people around. I mean, Bill Cosby or not. But let's just keep rolling. Same day, November 20th, 2014, Renita Cheney Hill said she was 15 when she met him in the 1980s. She was a model. She was cast in his Shoe Pictures page, an educational show. She was in contact with him for 4 years, now believes that he drugged her on more than one occasion. She believes, okay? She claims that he put some stuff in her drink and wanted her to drink alcohol even though she was underage. And she passed out, and she recalls him kissing her and the taste of his cigar on her breath. November 21st, some woman named Angela claims that in 1992, in a Las Vegas hotel room, he put her hand down her pants, and let's continue on. November 21st, Christina said that she was 22 and met him working as an actress in a talent agency, and she said she invited him to a party and with a friend. He gave her some bourbon. She felt foggy after 2 drinks, tried to force her to have oral sex with him. Never got past that because she got sick and threw up. November 21st, Michelle Hurd, same thing. Now, Michelle Hurd was the lady who played the coroner on all Law & Order SVU. And she said that they went to his dressing room, had lunch, and then had some strange acting exercises where he had to, move his hands up or down her body. And she said, how could she have fallen for that? And she said it never went past that. She never had anything to do with him. Then November 22nd, Victoria Valentino claims that in 1970 she was a former Playboy playmate, and she and a friend had dinner with him. They all took pills. Pills seem to be the key here. Why would you take pills from anybody? I don't understand that. Says she went to an apartment, remember slurring her words, and Cosby was on top of her. Then a lady named Jewel Allison, a former model, says in the 80s, gave her a glass of wine. She felt woozy and ill. November 26th, 2014, a woman named Donna claims that he drugged and raped her in 1971. December 2nd, 2014, Judy Huth says that he molested her at the Playboy Mansion when she was just 15. December 3rd, 2014, Helen Hayes met him at a restaurant. 1973, followed him around and then tried to grab her breasts. December 3rd, 2014, a woman named Shalane claims that he gave her a blue pill and she passed out. She woke up hours later. Cosby gave her $1,500. December 6, 2014, P.J. Maston, a former Playboy playmate, claims he attacked her in 1971. December 11th, 2014, Beverly Johnson, one of the first black supermodels, claims that Cosby drugged her at his home in 1980. And when she got a call asking about her audition for the Cosby Show, he wanted to meet her at the house, gave her some coffee, and when she didn't pass out, he dragged her down some stairs and took her to get a cab. December 16th, 2014, a woman named Chloe believes he drugged her at a party. No dates, no nothing on that one. December 19th, Lisa claims that he drugged her in 1988 when she was 21. December 21st, Catherine McKee claims he raped her in the early 70s. He invited her on a party boat and asked her to pick up some barbecue. And she got there and he was in a robe and took the ribs that she was carrying, grabbed her, spun her around, and to use her words, just took it. Now we're into 2015, January 7th. Linda Kirkpatrick claims that in 1981 he met her at his dressing room, invited her for a drink, tried to force himself onto her. She told him no and left. Nothing happened. December 7th, Linda Neal claims that when she was working as a therapist, he asked her to come to the hotel room, gave her drinks, told her not to eat. She said she felt disorientated and confused, and then he raped her. January 7th, 2015, Casey, not her real name. She showed her face but won't tell her name, which is interesting to me. Claims that in 1996, Cosby drugged and assaulted her. He invited her back to the room. He gave her a large white pill to relax her. Next thing she remembers is waking up in the bed next to Cosby, who was naked in a robe. Now, the last couple of days, Cosby's been doing a comedy tour, and a woman got up for a drink. And Cosby said, "Hey, where you going?" She's like, "I'm going to get a drink." And Cosby joked, "You know, you got to watch your drinks around me." You know, ha 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 ha. Well, the audience started chanting, "You raped women. You raped women." And quite honestly, I believe that he did. Now, some of these stories that I read were, 40, 45, 50 years old. Memories aren't always what they, used to be. And who knows, some of them might be trying to cash in and trying to get a little bit of fame. Bottom line is 28 women have accused him of doing this. 28 women are not lying about him doing this. It's just not. And you get to the point where preponderance of the evidence just says you're guilty. And the fact that Bill won't break his silence, the fact that he won't talk about it, really upsets me, because I had fond memories of Mr. Cosby. You don't want to think of people who remind you of your dad or your grandfather doing things like this. But it's like I've told people for years, you don't know these celebrities. You don't know anything about them. You know what they want you to know. You know what their publicists tell you. You know what they give you in interviews, but you don't know them. You don't know anything about them. And when you think that you know somebody, you find out that you don't. So my conclusion, Bill Cosby is guilty. Bill Cosby's not going to do a moment of jail time because the statute of limitations have run out on each and every one of these. But Bill's final years on this planet are going to be spent fighting these allegations and having constant denials. And once again, 28, 30 people aren't lying about this, particularly when they have no connection to each other. And that's just how I see it. And you guys have a fantastic day, and thank you for listening. Once again, this is Marcel coming to you with episode 1 of That's How I See It. You have a fantastic day.